What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Sales Mastery Training. Mario Delgadillo here out of Dallas, Texas. This afternoon, we're going to go over version 1.0 of our IBC short version presentation. And this is designed for us to go over with a client before we go over the illustration. Now, for those of you guys that are watching this later, understand that this is version 1.0. So it's probably not going to be the finished version of where we're at, but we'll have some changes to it. This is more of a workshop today where you guys write notes, tell me what you think, and we'll take it from there. So IBC, infinite banking concept, how to be your own bank. We talk about our founders, okay? A little bit about who we are as an organization. We're founder out of Prosper, Texas. Our value proposition, allows us to work holistically for our clients, and we provide strategic and dedicated retirement planning and asset protection everyday people. Now, these are some of the partners that we work with. I don't have Guardian here, but I don't think we should, right, Maritza? They're pretty crazy about that. Okay. By the way, we're going to start getting people contracted today, so expect a text message from me with Zoma. Those of you guys that are ready to get contracted with Guardian, so we can get your business written under you in your name. Okay. Now, this is important because, especially with what's going on, we have to help them to understand why it's important to not keep your money exposed. Okay. So it's not just about being your own bank, but it's also about protection. Okay. So we'll talk about the illusion of protection and also the IRS and civil asset forfeiture laws. Okay. So first things first, everybody says, well, my money is protected by FDIC insurance, which protects up to $250,000. Now, the IRS, the government has a backup plan. So if they ever needed to, they can actually take that FDIC protection to $500,000, right? So is that enough though? Is that backup plan enough to keep everyone safe? So right now, the current total bank deposits in the United States are 5.37 trillion. So that's how much all of us together have in the bank, okay? So let's say there was a massive crash. There was something unbelievable that happened in the banking world and everything went backwards. How much could they actually protect us? Well, with the $500,000 backup plan, we would actually, because of the amount of money that we have in there, it would actually only be 2 cents for every dollar in protection. So I want you guys to understand that the FDIC insurance is not anything. It's just not really a way to protect yourself because there's just not enough. Now, the next thing is to understand that the IRS has absolute access to everything that they want by way of the Patriot Act, okay? So the Patriot Act allows the IRS to seize your accounts without any formal accusation of proof of tax evasion, money laundering, or criminal activity of any kind, okay? So what do we do? Like, how do we protect, right? Not just, clients, the ability to build money tax-free, to use your money 2 times, but there's a huge aspect of security that I like to cover before we go into it. Now, the infinite banking concept is a financial strategy developed by Nelson Nash, the author of Becoming Your Own Bank. IBC is about becoming your own bank rather than saving or borrowing money with a traditional bank. And it allows you to create a personal banking system that you control, where you have all the power. And you do this by using dividend-paying whole life insurance policies, and then you build cash value using that vehicle, and then you borrow from that policy at favorable rates to do things with it, okay? So some of the benefits: tax-free growth and withdrawal. So when your money is growing, right, if you borrow against it, it's tax-free. So if I put $100,000 somewhere and it grows to $2,000, if I debit that account, I pay taxes, right? But if I borrow against that account, because I'm borrowing it, it becomes tax-free access to the money, which gives you incredible liquidity. And a lot of people actually use this as emergency funding, right? Rather than keeping your money in a savings account. Now, this is a way that the wealthy use to build long-term wealth accumulation that also stays off the books, right? Because this money that's inside of a life insurance policy doesn't actually show up onto your asset sheet, which is pretty cool. And what you do is you can use this to reduce debt, and you start to pay it back using interest payments as well. but it'll give you increased financial independence. Now, how does it work? Okay, real simple. So purchasing our participating whole life insurance policy, that's specific. It's got to be participating or it's not going to work. Okay. So you pay your premiums either monthly in a lump sum or in both or both. Okay. You start to build cash value over time, which is pretty much immediately as well. And then you borrow that money from yourself in the form of a loan. Now, what you do is you're going to be paying less interest while the original amount is growing. And we call it participating using fixed growth and dividends. Okay, fixed rates and dividends. So you can use this to pay debt, invest. It's got great tax advantages and it's got a death benefit. And then you just repeat the process over and over again. So a lot of people use this as a way to pay down their debts, save a ton of money in interest, but then you'll come to a point where you don't have any debt anymore, right? Now I start using it for investments or for just long-term wealth generation for whether it be for retirement or for legacy. So it's a very simple process. And now what we'll do is we're actually going to get into some advantages, and then I'll show you your numbers. So it's going to give you financial control and flexibility. It's going to reduce your reliance on traditional banking. And it's going to allow you to take advantage of IRS tax code 7702A, which most people are not doing. And then finally, it's going to give you a potential for tax-free income. Okay. So that's it. Real simple. Take that in, and then you go into the actual illustration itself. So that said, again, at the beginning, I wanted to make sure that we have a place where those of us that are starting out in this space or are not queen bee status have the ability to be able to have something that guides us through the education phase of the product before we get into the illustration. Okay. So real quick, let's start with you guys. Patty, I know you're working this this product and you're showing clients. What do you think about the presentation? Good, bad, and the ugly.
Simplified in the last version, so I like that, because we used it on one of our appointments and it just seemed to create more questions than anything. So yeah, the first two slides, not like the company stuff. The first two slides, I guess, I mean, that's more the education piece, but the other, let's see, key components, benefits, how it works, advantages, those are good.
Yeah. So just simplify.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Less is more. Like the more you have on there, you're just going to get yourself into additional questions is what I found. And it creates confusion, and more confusion is like someone's not going to move if they're confused. Needs to simple, super simple.
Okay. All right, Isabel, what do you think?
I agree with Patty. I think you have the highlights there of the product, which is important. And I I truly believe that the clients want to see what is tailored to them as well. That's what they're mainly looking for. So yeah, having the highlights that you have there, it's very simple, very straightforward, which is good.
Okay. I'm just taking notes. All right, thank you. Tony.
Yo, Tony in the building. Yeah, again, I agree with both of the ladies, but what it is doing is drawing them in to want to learn more. Of course, to ask more questions, just keeping them on the edge of their seats, like, okay, this is interesting. It's not too in depth, because it hits those bullet points. And so this is going to allow you to get in there, get that FNA, allows them to get a little bit more comfortable, providing more information because they want to learn more.
Right, good. I think one of the things that kind of goes along with what you're saying too, Tony, is that if we have to understand that when you deal with a lead, even if they're good leads, there's always a risk of them just disappearing. And they're just gone, right? And so when we have them, we have to be able to attack all aspects. And what I mean by that is Some people are visual learners.
Right.
And if we're not showing them something that they can actually see, right, then we're losing. Because we can't assume, well, they just want to see the numbers. We can't assume that they truly know what the product is and what it does, right, and why it does it. So that's why it's important that we go through this, because it gives them the ABC fundamental understanding of the how, the why, the what, right? But then it also gives them something to look at as well. And for those that aren't visual learners, it's not too much, just enough, right? So, all right, good. Let's see. Let's start with Jacqueline. What do you think?
Hello, everyone. I think I've seen the longer version a few times. So this one was really like, okay, where's all the slides at? The one thing that keeps sticking in my head is I really like the buckets of where your money goes, because I think people need to understand what you're comparing this to. And in the world of average Joes like myself, literally the only thing that we know is 401ks. So if you're not comparing it to a 401k, then I'll be like, how does, so I really like the bucket one because it's telling me where my money's going, where the taxes are going, and it's very visual. So that's the only slide that I would recommend.
Awesome. Thank you. Priscilla, what are your thoughts?
I know like Patty and you guys know this one a little bit more. I was going to suggest, because one that I like in the annuity one is kind of like the apples to apples comparison, like 401k to an annuity. And I don't know what necessarily we would do like an apples to apples comparison, but I like that one only because, right, we're able to ask the yes, kind of answer those simple yes and no questions, like, can you lose money here? Yes. Can you make money here? Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I like the shorter one. I think it's simplified. It kind of answers it. I tried looking at it. I tried like an idiot one day to try to look through it as if I was going to present on it. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about, but I got lost because I haven't seen you do it for a while, of like the grapes and the seeds, and I was like, Jesus, now I just need a glass of wine because now I don't know what I'm saying. Like I was like, I have jacked this thing up. I don't know what. And like I was like, okay, we're gonna talk about IULs instead. I didn't know what I was doing, like just looking at it, but I need to see it and hear it again if that was gonna have all of that in there, because that I had messed it up. But you don't have that in here this time, so.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, what I'm trying to do is, believe it or not, what I put together, I used AI for it. So I went to AI and I said, give me a basic description of infinite banking. And this is what came out. So the reason I wanted to do that is because it's a simplified version of the product. And I think it can still be a lot better because the product is so sexy. It really is. We've just got to be able to hit a couple of points so that they get it and that they're so excited about it. Because every time I look at this, like I've gone through a couple of illustrations, and every time I do, like Maritza will tell you, I'm like, dude, this is freaking crazy. Like, this is amazing, right? At least I feel like there's a disconnect with the amount of people that are out there doing it and the actual deals that are closing. As you can see, the queen bee is closing all day long, right? But she's the queen bee. Why is it that the rest of us are not banging them out like that? Like, you know what I'm saying? And that I believe, just based on a couple of that I've gone on, that they don't truly have their mind wrapped around the product and they're not excited about it. The numbers look great, but what is it, right? I think there's that. We've got to figure out a way to close that gap, right? So, Marita, what do you think?
So I really like Priscilla's point. I think that's imperative because when I present, I always talk about the comparison to different products. And typically what I do is I talk about putting your money into a product like this versus putting it in the stock market, and B, comparing it to an IUL, because, I don't sell IULs because they're not guaranteed. So I think that's really, really important. So
there it is.
Yeah, super
Okay.
important, that information.
So maybe I'll do like a slide. Like one is stocks, one is IULs, and one is that. That'd be dope. Okay.
Then,
And just super simple.
yeah, super simple. And then on the benefits part, remember it's tax-free growth and loans, not withdrawals. Withdrawals are always taxed. So it's super important because people always say you can withdraw and it's going to be tax-free. That's not true. It has to be a loan to remain tax-free. And
Look at, I'll do this. Like this, look at
That's facts.
that.
mhm.
I think it was the same thing. Saying the same thing. I just didn't type it. So we'll put loan withdrawals.
Also, also to piggyback Marissa, as you withdraw, you're still earning uninterrupted dividends.
Correct.
And I agree with that because so many people, the internet is so flooded, especially social media with IULs, and having that, you know, again, as Priscilla said, apples is great, but like you alluded to as well, Mario, you know, your stocks, your IULs, and of course participating whole life. Of course, the benefit is participating whole life because it is guaranteed dividends, as opposed to IULs and stocks are not. You know, so but yeah, I'm with y'all.
But to what you're saying too, Tony, and that's why it's important, guys, that we do the education piece, because the internet is, I always say, and I say this and you guys can use it because it's the perfect one. It always gets a laugh. I always say, guys, I'll tell a client, you know what the internet's like? What's that? The internet's like the bathroom wall. You know who could write on the bathroom wall? Anybody. You know who could write on the internet? Anybody. So just because you saw it on the internet doesn't mean shit, right? So we can't just assume that they know, because they might be on some random jerk on TikTok that's not teaching them anything. And then now they found somebody who can do it, which is you,
right?
But they don't know it. And then you get a chargeback or something stupid. You know what I mean? So that's why it is important to have a bulleted, clean, sharp, concise education piece. Again, for all of us that are average Joes at this, right? I could probably do what Maritza does with FIAs, right? But I still use the presentation because that's where my success has been. So that's what I do it. But for everybody else, you need the presentation, right? So, so Sharina, have you gone?
No, I have not.
Okay, go ahead.
So I love the simplicity of it. Absolutely. There's just like key things, like I said, when Marissa was speaking, piggybacking off of her, the benefits is reminding them that their money, although they are taking a loan, their money is still growing off of the money that's sitting in their cash value. So I don't know how you want to present that, like uninterrupted dividends, even saying that, uninterrupted gains. I think that's a key point to add into it.
Yeah, I was about to say, so it is set. So what it is, and maybe you can put this under benefits, Mario, and add to it. So what it is it's a non-correlated asset, meaning it is said to retain its wealth forever. That's really important because as Sharina was saying, yes, you can take out as many loans as you want, but that cash value that you have accumulated, as long as you have a repayment schedule, will not lose any value. Okay.
And then maybe, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And then I don't know if like we could do a training on it, because some of the questions, so they're like, okay, a loan would be like, okay, is there interest? Yes. Who is that interest being paid to? How can I pay? But this is not to be added to the slide because this is complicated, right? But I'm saying that's for the agents. I would do like a training specifically on the quote unquote disadvantages. But I mean, that's obviously.
Keep in mind that we're going to go over the illustration next. So that piece we talk about in the illustration, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then because I did build in, and those are great points. I do have this here where it talks about pay less interest while the original amount grows, participates in fixed growth and dividends, right? But those are the things that, like, when you're showing the actual
illustration
cash value, you'll be able to show them like this is going to continue to happen even if I were to borrow X amount from it, right? So but yeah, so just know this is not like and I know you know this, Sharina, but it's not built to just be by itself. When you bring in the illustration next, it kind of like boom,
aligns,
it kind of connects the dots, you know. So yeah.
But yeah,
good.
It's really good. I really like the simplicity of it. It definitely brings more questions. So as the agent, that's where it'll show your expertise to be able to answer those questions. So I absolutely do like this.
Yeah, you spot on. You spot on.
Karina.
I like this presentation. I like that it's straightforward because so with the other one, I think you do a really good job explaining the entire presentation. But then when I try to do that, and all over the place for myself, I don't know, I just get lost explaining. So I think I like this just like the simplicity, and you just tell them exactly what it is, and then you show the illustration, and it's easier. You don't have all those other questions that you would get with the other one because explaining too many concepts at the same time.
Here's what I
No?
will say, and that's good. That's good. Here's what I will say. Number one, guys, we're going to be bad at every brand new presentation, no matter if it's long or short, because it's brand new. So don't forget that. If it's brand new to you, it's just you're going to be bad at it for a while. If you do it 4 or 5 times, you'll get better. That's number one.
Yes.
Number two is I'm going to leave them both out. I'm going to leave the short and the long version out. Why do you think there may be an occasion where you use the long version?
With people that are more analytical.
Yes.
So when you're talking to somebody that is analytical or somebody who is attention to detail, it might better suit you to go through the long version, because they're going to look at this, the short version, and somebody who's analytical, they're going to be like, there's got to be more to this. You're just missing too much, right? So that's where you have to be able to understand on the first phone call when you're doing the financial needs assessment, is this person more of an analytical person, or is it more of like somebody who's type A personality that's just money motivated or driven by money? And so I'm going to keep them both out. But part of being a good counselor, we have to know when to use what tools with what person and why. Okay, just throw that out there for you guys. But thank you so much for the feedback. Myra, do you have anything, or can you communicate? I know you're at work.
Mario, not to interrupt Myra, but I absolutely 100% agree. If you cannot answer the questions with an analytical person, you can be, my goodness. I mean, Isabel can tell you, we've gone in such depth with some clients that it's unreal what they think of things that I've never even thought of as an agent. I know the answer to, and I typically don't talk about them because people don't typically think to ask them. But if you cannot answer those questions, I 100% recommend that you utilize the presentation, because it's going to help you. I mean, it cuts those questions out, if that makes sense, for analytical people. So yes, absolutely. 100% agreed for the analytical folks.
Awesome. Thank you. Myra said, been in and out of training off and on with phone calls. No problem. Nicole said the IBC slides are short and sweet, gets to the point without a lot of confusion. Good. Tony chimed in. Luis, are you able to chime in?
Sorry, I missed the presentation piece, so I'm listening in right now, listening to all the comments. But question, is this presentation going to be named a certain way, like short versus the full version?
Yeah, it's gonna say IBC short version.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And then Bridget just got hired on, jumped on to training. So a lot of this might be over your head because I know you're brand new, but we just all wanted to say welcome to the familia. So everybody give a little clap to Bridget. This will be your free pass, but we always do cameras on unless you're at work, and then you let us know ahead of time. But otherwise, all right, guys, let me stop the recording.